Imagine this for a moment. You wake up at 2 a.m. again, bladder full, back aching, your feet dragging on the cold floor as you shuffle to the bathroom in the dark. You're tired, frustrated, and somewhere deep down, you've already decided this is just how it is. I'm getting older. This is normal. But what if I told you that thought right there is a lie? Not a harmless misunderstanding, but a lie that's slowly draining your energy, your confidence, your intimacy. A lie that millions of men over 60 have accepted, and it's making things worse. You see, the worst part about prostate problems isn't the symptoms. It's that most men believe they can't do anything about them. But you can. And not with expensive medication, painful surgery, or complicated routines. What I'm going to share with you today are 5 simple, science-backed daily habits, completely natural, completely doable, that could dramatically improve your sleep, your bladder control, your intimacy, and yes, even your confidence as a man. This isn't internet guesswork or some trendy hack. It comes straight from clinical research, urology studies, and nearly 2 decades of patient results. And I promise you, one of these 5 habits will challenge something you've believed your whole life. In fact, it might be the most important shift you'll make this decade. So stay with me, because when we get to part 5, I'll reveal a truth that even most doctors avoid saying out loud. A truth that could mean the difference between 5 years of decline or 10 more years of energy, strength, and dignity. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's the one symptom you wish you could erase forever? And if you find this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone you care about. Let's break the silence around men's health. Let's start today. It's not just how much you drink, it's when you drink it that matters. Journal of Urology, 2019. Let me ask you something simple. Do you believe you're drinking enough water every day? Most men I talk to over 60 will nod and say, yeah, I think so. But when we dig a little deeper, it turns out they're drinking at the wrong times. Let me tell you about one of my patients, Frank, 67 years old, retired firefighter from Ohio. He came into my office exhausted from waking up 4 times a night just to pee. He was frustrated and, honestly, starting to feel like he was falling apart. When I asked him about his water intake, he proudly said, I drink almost 2 liters a day. But then I asked when he was drinking it. He looked confused. Turns out he barely drank all morning and afternoon. Then around dinner, he'd down 2 glasses and chug even more before bed because, in his words, I don't want to dry out overnight. Frank thought he was helping his body, but in reality, he was setting himself up for failure every single night. Here's why timing matters. As we age, our thirst reflex weakens. We simply don't feel thirsty the way we used to. That leads to mild dehydration throughout the day, something so subtle most men never notice. And when you finally flood your system at night, your bladder goes into overdrive, your urine becomes more concentrated, and the irritation begins. This concentrated urine is like acid to your bladder and prostate, packed with salts, toxins, and inflammatory compounds. Instead of letting your prostate rest at night, you're actually lighting a small fire in it every time you hit the pillow. Now, here's what the science says. A 2019 study in the Journal of Urology found that men who drank less than 1.5 liters per day had significantly worse urinary symptoms than those who drank 2 to 3 liters, spread evenly across the day. Even more interesting, when those men simply changed how they timed their hydration, their symptoms dropped by up to 40% in just a few weeks. That's powerful. So how do we fix it? Here's the pattern I recommend to every patient. Start your day with a full glass of water within 15 minutes of waking up. Keep sipping through the morning and afternoon. Make it routine, not random. Try to get at least 70% of your daily fluids in before 6 p.m. After dinner, sip only what you need. No more chugging.
And if you want an easy upgrade, add a few slices of cucumber or lemon to your morning water. It not only tastes better, but adds natural anti-inflammatory compounds your prostate will thank you for. Now, back to Frank. He followed this routine for just 10 days. And when he came back, he told me something simple. Doc, I finally slept 6 hours straight. I haven't done that in years. Better sleep doesn't just make you feel rested. It balances your hormones, strengthens your immune system, reduces stress, and yes, it eases chronic inflammation in your prostate. And that's just from changing when you drink water. But don't stop here, because the next habit we're about to uncover is even easier to do, and it can transform your prostate and your blood sugar in just 15 minutes a day. Let's talk about it.
Walking is man's best medicine. Hippocrates. Let me take you to a quiet neighborhood in North Carolina. There's a man named George, 66 years old, retired mechanic, loves woodworking and Sunday barbecues with his grandkids. When George first came to see me, he looked worn out. He told me, "Doc, I can't sleep. I'm up 6 times a night, and even when I go, it feels like I didn't finish." His words weren't unusual. What he was describing was textbook BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia, or in simple terms, an enlarged prostate. Now, George was already making a few changes. He'd cut back on coffee, started watching his salt, and followed my hydration advice to the letter. But still, the bathroom trips haunted him. That's when I gave him one of the simplest prescriptions I've ever written. "George, I want you to take a 15-minute walk after lunch and again after dinner, every day. Just that." He raised an eyebrow and said, "That's it? That's it?" Here's what most people don't realize. When you walk, especially after a meal, you're doing far more than burning calories. You're boosting blood flow to your lower abdomen, including your pelvic region, where the prostate lives. And that matters because better circulation means more oxygen, more nutrients, and better hormonal delivery. It's like sending a repair crew directly to your prostate. Even more important, walking helps flush out the low-grade inflammation that sits like a fire under the surface of your body. Chronic inflammation is one of the main drivers of prostate growth, not to mention heart disease, joint pain, and brain fog. One study in the Journal of Inflammation Research showed that light walking after meals significantly reduced inflammatory markers in older adults. Not intense gym sessions, not running, just walking. Now, why after meals? Because it's the perfect time for your body to regulate blood sugar. When you walk after eating, you blunt the glucose spike that comes with digestion. And that's critical because high blood sugar fuels inflammation, disrupts hormones, and accelerates prostate enlargement. There's also an emotional benefit. That short stroll gives your nervous system a chance to slow down. When you walk in the fresh air, maybe with your spouse or even just quietly with yourself, you're giving your body a message. You're safe. You're healing. You're in motion. And healing loves motion. Back to George. After 2 weeks of daily post-meal walks, he came in grinning. "Doc, I'm only getting up twice now, and I actually feel rested in the morning." Now, I know some of you are thinking, "But I'm not that active. I've got arthritis. My knees hurt." That's okay. You don't have to power walk around the block. Just move at your pace. Even 10 to 15 minutes of gentle walking after meals makes a big difference. If weather's bad, do laps inside your house. Walk in place during TV commercials. Sit to stand exercises by the kitchen counter. And if you want to take it a step further, try combining your walk with deep belly breathing. Slow, steady breaths from the diaphragm help activate your vagus nerve, which lowers cortisol, your stress hormone, and brings down inflammation even further. So, here's your habit. 2 short walks a day. No gym, no sweat, no fancy gear. Just motion, consistency, and intention. Because every step you take after a meal isn't just for your waistline, it's for your prostate, your sleep, and your peace of mind. And now that you're moving forward,
Literally, let's look at the one habit most men misunderstand, the one tied to your masculinity, your hormones, and your most private moments. Let's talk about intimacy and why it's not just about how often, but how deeply it impacts your health.
Frequent ejaculation lowers prostate cancer risk. Harvard Medical Study, 2004. But is that the whole story? Let's talk about a topic that most men were never taught to talk about, at least not honestly. Sexual health. Now, I know that just saying those words can make some men feel a little uncomfortable, especially over 60. But here's the truth. Your prostate is directly impacted by your sexual habits, and it's time we talk about it. Not with embarrassment, but with clarity. You've probably heard the old statistic, right? That men who ejaculate 21 times per month have a lower risk of prostate cancer. That's not a myth. It comes from a Harvard study that followed over 30,000 men for nearly 20 years. The conclusion? Regular ejaculation helps reduce congestion in the prostate, improve circulation, and may even help flush out harmful compounds. So naturally, many men thought, well, the more, the better, right? Not quite. Because in the years since that study, newer research has started asking a different question. Does the type of sexual activity matter just as much as the frequency? And the answer, well, it seems to be yes. Let me tell you about Walter, a 72-year-old widower from Colorado. He came to me with increased urinary urgency and pelvic tension. He was healthy, active, and told me he ejaculated regularly through solo activity. Almost daily, he said. But despite the frequency, his symptoms were getting worse. So we looked deeper. And what we found was this. Not all forms of ejaculation have the same effect on the prostate. Let me explain. When you engage in partnered intimacy, sex with emotional connection, your body experiences a whole cascade of healing responses. You release oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Your cortisol levels drop, your pelvic muscles relax naturally. Blood flow improves, especially to the lower abdomen. It's not just physical. It's hormonal, it's emotional, and it creates balance. Now, compare that to frequent masturbation, especially when it's habitual, rushed, or emotionally detached. There's no oxytocin spike. There's no emotional feedback loop. And over time, it can actually lead to pelvic floor muscle tension, which increases pressure around the prostate. A 2016 study in BJU International found that older men who reported frequent solo ejaculation had a slightly higher incidence of lower urinary tract symptoms than those who were sexually active with a partner. And the researchers believed the reason was clear. The quality of the intimacy matters just as much, if not more, than the quantity. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about shame. There's nothing inherently wrong with solo sexual activity, especially when it's occasional and respectful to your body. But the idea that more is better, no matter how, is an oversimplification, and it's one that might be leading some men to unknowingly irritate the very gland they're trying to protect. So, what do I recommend? If you have a partner, prioritize quality intimacy, not just frequency. If you're single or widowed, talk to your doctor about options for improving pelvic health, circulation, and even emotional connection. You can also explore pelvic floor relaxation exercises, guided breathwork, or even physical therapy for men's health. Yes, that exists, and it's powerful. Remember Walter? We added 2 things to his routine: partner-based physical connection through massage and stretching with a companion, and a few minutes of reverse Kegel exercises daily. A month later, he said, "It's not just my bathroom visits that got better. It's my mood, my sleep, even how I feel about myself." That's the hidden truth. Sexual activity isn't just a number. It's a signal to your hormones, your nervous system, and your sense of self. So let's stop counting and start connecting. Because when it comes to protecting your prostate,
How you show up matters more than how often you show up. And now that we've uncovered this quiet factor that most men get wrong, it's time to shine a light on the most overlooked piece of the puzzle. It's not about hydration, not movement, not even intimacy. It's about what's on your plate and how it might be fueling or fighting your prostate problems every single day. Let's talk food.
Let food be thy medicine. Hippocrates. Let's step into a quiet kitchen in suburban Illinois. That's where I met Doug, 70 years old, retired mail carrier, who told me over a cup of tea, "Doc, I've changed my water. I walk after dinner. I'm even trying to stretch more. But I'm still getting up 3 or 4 times a night. What gives?" So I asked him to do something simple. For 3 days, just write down everything he was eating. He came back with a notebook: bacon and eggs for breakfast, ham and cheese sandwich at lunch, steak and potatoes at night. And between meals, crackers, cookies, the occasional soda. Doug didn't realize it, but his plate was quietly feeding his prostate problem every single day. You see, there's a pillar of prostate health that's often overlooked, especially by men. It's what you eat and how your body responds to it. Let's break it down. Your prostate is incredibly sensitive to inflammation, and inflammation starts in the gut. When you eat processed foods, fried oils, excess sugar, or too much red meat, you're not just adding calories. You're triggering an immune response. Your body sees those foods as irritants. And that immune response? It stirs up the inflammation that leads to prostate swelling, hormone disruption, and poor urinary flow. But here's where it gets worse. That same diet also feeds the wrong bacteria in your gut. And your gut microbiome, the balance of good and bad bacteria, controls everything from inflammation to hormone regulation. An imbalanced gut equals more estrogen, less testosterone, and a more inflamed, irritated prostate. So what do? We go back to the basics. If you want to calm your prostate, eat like your prostate depends on it, because it does. Here are some of my top food swaps. Swap bacon and eggs for oatmeal with berries and chia seeds, fiber-rich and anti-inflammatory. Swap the lunch deli meat for a big salad with salmon or grilled chicken. Add in cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. They contain sulforaphane, a compound shown to reduce prostate inflammation. And include foods rich in lycopene, like tomatoes and watermelon. Studies show lycopene may slow prostate growth. And don't forget healthy fats: avocado, olive oil, walnuts. These support hormone balance and reduce inflammation naturally. And here's a powerful tip that many men overlook. Try a 12-12 eating window. Eat during a 12-hour period and fast for the other 12. It helps regulate insulin, reduces inflammation, and gives your digestive system time to reset. But what about body fat? Doug was about 25 pounds over his ideal weight, most of it around his waist. And here's the thing, belly fat isn't just extra weight. It's hormonally active. It produces estrogen, which drives prostate growth, and it blocks testosterone, which your prostate needs for healthy function. In short, belly fat is like fuel on the fire. When Doug cleaned up his diet, added more greens, and cut out soda, he didn't just lose 10 pounds. His nighttime trips to the bathroom dropped in half. And for the first time in years, he told me, "I finally feel like my body is working with me, not against me." That's the quiet power of food. It's not flashy, it's not overnight, but it works deeply and consistently. Because healing isn't just about water or walking. It's about what you build your body out of every single day.
And now that you know what to eat to support your prostate, there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to face head on. A part that far too many men avoid until it's too late. Let's talk about checkups, screenings, and the courage to take responsibility.
Early detection saves lives. American Urological Association. Let me tell you something most men won't admit out loud. They're not afraid of the pain. They're afraid of what they might find. And I get it. The idea of sitting in a doctor's office, talking about your prostate, getting blood drawn, maybe even having a physical exam, it doesn't sound like anyone's idea of a good day. But here's the truth. Avoiding that appointment doesn't protect you. It only delays the damage. Let me introduce you to Earl, 74 years old, retired Navy vet from Florida. Strong, proud, always did things his way. He hadn't seen a doctor in over a decade. Felt fine, he said. Didn't want the hassle. But the symptoms crept in. First, it was getting up once a night, then twice, then 4 times. Then came the burning sensation, the weak stream, the moment he couldn't urinate at all. That's what finally brought him to the ER. The diagnosis? Advanced prostate enlargement, borderline cancer suspicion, bladder damage from years of strain. All of it preventable if caught 5 years earlier. Earl looked at me with quiet regret and said, "I thought avoiding it made me strong. Turns out it just made things worse." Listen to me carefully, my friend. Real strength isn't pretending nothing's wrong. Real strength is showing up to protect your future. Getting a PSA blood test and a digital rectal exam once a year takes less than 30 minutes. And those 30 minutes could save you years of surgery, medication, or worse. These aren't scary procedures. They're simple tools. Tools that can spot inflammation, identify early cancer cells, and help you stay ahead of the curve. And here's something even more important. If something is found, it's almost always more treatable, less invasive, more successful when caught earlier. But the clock matters. So if it's been more than 12 months since your last prostate check, let this be your wake-up call. Book the appointment. Don't wait until symptoms force you in. Don't wait until a catheter becomes part of your day. Don't wait until the decisions are no longer in your hands. You've already taken steps: hydration, movement, intimacy, food. Now finish the loop. Own this. Take control. That's what real men do. And now that you've made it here, there's one final message I need you to hear. Because everything we've talked about today, these 5 habits, they're not just routines. They are acts of self-respect. They're how you stay in the driver's seat of your own life. So let's bring it all together one last time. These aren't just daily tasks. They are acts of dignity. Let's pause for a moment. You've just learned 5 simple habits. But I want you to understand something bigger. These aren't just tips or routines. They are choices. They are declarations. Every glass of water you drink at the right time, every short walk you take after a meal, every moment of meaningful intimacy, every healthy bite you put on your plate, every doctor's visit you choose not to avoid, these are all moments where you are saying, my health matters. My life still matters. I still matter. Because prostate health isn't just about fewer bathroom trips. It's about your freedom, your energy, your confidence. It's about waking up and knowing you're still in control of your body, your choices, and your future. Now, let me be real with you. I've sat across from thousands of men, some in their 60s, others in their 80s, who thought it was too late. And you know what I've seen? Men who did change. Men who reclaimed their sleep, who reduced their symptoms, who looked 10 years younger, not because of pills, but because of small, consistent action. So here's my challenge to you. Write these 5 habits down. Stick them on your bathroom mirror. Tape them to your fridge if you have to. Put them in your wallet if you have to. Let them remind you every single day that you're not powerless. You are not broken. You are not too old. You are not beyond improvement. You are a man with decades of wisdom, grit, and strength. And you still have the power to live well, live fully, and live freely. So start today. Not next month, not after one more sleepless night. Start today. And if this message helped you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your brother, your friend, your father. Because too many men are suffering in silence, and they don't have to. Let's break that silence together. And let this be the beginning of your next chapter. Stronger, healthier, and wiser than ever before.